name is Rob Robinson. I am a learning support tutor here at Myerscough College. Myerscough College is a predominantly land-based college. We do a lot of land-based courses, agriculture, equine, what we call green space, which is horticulture and arboriculture. We do entry-level courses right up to HE, foundation degree and BSc degrees. We're based in Preston in Lancashire, and we have approximately 3,000 students, both FE and HE. With Myerscough being a land-based college, obviously we have a high intake of learning support students. Currently I think we've got about 1,000 students that we've got on the books of learning support that see us on a regular basis, whether it's one-to-one support with myself or one of the other learning support tutors, or in-class support from the learning mentors. We've also got a lot of in-class support assistants that go into courses from level 1 right up to level 3. At HE, obviously, because the funding's a little bit differently, obviously it's only tutor support with myself or with Adam, the other learning support tutor. Obviously there's apprentices as well and work-based learners. Supporting those is a little bit different because we've got to go out into the workplace, and the project that I'm going to talk a little bit about has helped us to support them in a much more effective manner.
Can you tell us a little bit about the accessibility tools you had in place before you started using MyApps, and what issues you had with these tools?
Yep. In years gone by, we've had things, as most colleges do, like Read and Write Gold and Inspiration, where we've purchased site licenses for these packages of software. Issues have been things like, obviously, the initial cost of the site licenses, with funding changing what seems to be every year. That's had a big impact. The fact that students can use things like Inspiration and can use Read and Write Gold in our one-to-one sessions, and then in college, it's not on every single system in college, so obviously they've got to use particular computers within college, or they've got to use a laptop from learning support. And there's a problem that when they've used the software at college, they go home and they can't use the software at home. You know, it's something that's very, very tailored to the college support package, what isn't really supporting them anywhere else within the life, or within the lifestyle. Obviously, with the software being in college, for the work-based learners, they'd have to come into college to use the software. We can't take it to them unless we've got it on a laptop, which we've got very few of those. So that some of those are missing out on learning support because of this. The main big issue though really was the cost. The huge output from the learning support budget every year that goes for site licenses was something that we needed to address.
So what prompted the idea for MyApps, Rob?
Initially we had a training session with JISC back in September 2009 it was. We sat down and we looked at the Access Apps package and all the free software that's available on there. There was myself and the learning support tutor, and we said, oh, this is really great, there's so much free software here, we've got to make use of this somehow. We initially discussed maybe giving students access to the whole package of software. We decided that against that idea really, because obviously with there being so much software on there, students might get a little bit perturbed by the amount. They might not want to use all of it, they might look at it and go, oh, there's far too much there for me, I'm not really interested, which students often do. So we came up with the idea of maybe pulling out what we felt were the best pieces of software, or the pieces that were most suitable for our learners. We sat and went through it, and we decided that things like XMime, which is a mind mapping software, which is an alternative to Inspiration, a free alternative, we'd use that. Balabolka, which is text-to-speech, another free alternative to Read and Write Gold with very similar features. And then more specialist pieces, things like the magnifier for visually impaired students, and the screen readers, and the tints to change the colour of the background of the screen, something which we have a lot of in college of students with things like scotopic light sensitivity, or issues with needing different coloured paper, and often you find that a student sticks a coloured overlay to the back of to the front of a computer monitor, which obviously isn't really appropriate in terms of inclusivity in the classroom. So that was a great alternative for that. And then other little bits of software like Hot Notes, which is like post-it notes for your desktop. We thought they'd be great for students who maybe struggle with timetabling themselves and meeting deadlines for assignments. Then we just sort of package that together. At Myerscough, the marketing department at the moment are big on My and promoting the My element of Myerscough. Things like My Study, My This, My That. So we came up with MyApps, packaged it together, and then we contacted a corporate provider with some MP3 capable USB sticks to put it on there.
So, what about the cost savings that you've found from the MyApps project?
In terms of cost savings, there have been huge cost savings. Firstly, the site licence thing, obviously that saved a massive chunk of the budget, not having to pay out for site licence for things like Inspiration and Read and Write Gold, because we've got free alternatives. Obviously IT don't have to keep coming around installing on different systems for us, installing updates or solving problems. With the individual packages being on the pen stick, the student can just a plug and play, student plugs it in and away they go. Other cost savings, obviously with site licenses as well, there seem to be new versions coming out all the time. So with free software, you don't need to keep paying for updates. The versions are free, so you just download the update. It's great for that. Then things like supporting apprentices. In the past, we've only been able to support a certain amount of apprentices, and pulling the cost in for them hasn't been great. Now with MyApps, we can provide a massive amount of support over a bigger area, and we can pull funding back for that, which has been a really good thing. And obviously the apprentices are getting support, whereas normally they wouldn't have had that. So that's been good too.
You decided to go with MP3 capable memory sticks rather than just the bog standard cheap ones.
Yeah.
Obviously they were a little bit more expensive. Why did you make that decision?
Initially, obviously, with having text-to-speech software on the in the MyApps package, we decided that to have an MP3 USB stick could be a lot better for the student, in that they could save MP3 files directly onto the USB stick and listen to them back off that pen stick. So for things like revising, a lot of students in green space have to learn plant idents and Latin plant names. For dyslexic students, this has been a nightmare over the years. So to be able to save it as an MP3 sound file on a pen stick, they can listen back to it on the bus, or if they're walking home, or when they're at home, or when they're in college, they can do it discreetly, just put the earphones in, listen to it, and they can be revising away. HE students have found it brilliant for journals, particularly learning support students, who often get a reading list and think, well, I'm not really going to be able to get a long way through this, I might just concentrate on 2 or 3 journals. They can now copy and paste them into Balabolka, export them and save as an MP3 file directly onto the pen stick, and listen back to them. One of the issues we've had recently is that the company that we bought the MP3 pen sticks off stopped producing them, so we've had to source some more. These are the ones we've got at the moment. This is hot off the press. This is the latest prototype. We purchased these. They do, like you said, they are a little bit more expensive, but these we're looking at about £8 a unit. So when you work that out against the cost of a site license for 1 year for a piece of software, it's not a really great outlay. And these this year, hopefully, initially we bought 100 for our learning support students. This year, every student in college is going to be provided with one of these, with all the MyApps software on there. We're going to produce some tutorial videos, and we're going to put on there the student handbook, and lots of stuff that's relevant initially in the induction into college is going to be converted onto MP3 files, so they can listen to them directly off here. And there's obviously some customising you can do. You can put your college logo on this. You can do what you want with it, really. So these are ones that hopefully are going to be used.
So overall, would you say that you've actually achieved more benefits than you envisaged when you started the project?
Definitely. Initially, we just thought we'd trial and see how it got on with students. We dished it out to our learning support students. Obviously, they've shown the friends in class or outside of class, oh, that's great, I want some of that. The 100 pen sticks disappeared in no time. Students were borrowing those left, right and centre. So what we started to do was just put the package of software on students' USB sticks for them, and then they could use it from there. A lot of students who didn't have the MP3 players were saving MP3 files on their iPhones or on the other mobile phones they've got and listening to them off there. Then it went to staff. Staff have been using things like the Xmind, the mind mapping software has been used in lectures. A lot of staff have been producing mind maps on the interactive whiteboards at the front, getting students to think about assignments. A problem that we have in college a lot, especially from students going from a high school environment to a college environment, when they start writing assignments, is they tend to go off on a tangent and start talking about a particular topic and miss a lot of the relevant stuff. With Xmind and with mind mapping software, you have the chance, when you do it, a lot of staff have done these initial sessions where they've gone over the assignment, they've put all the 4 learning outcomes on a mind map. Students have contributed ideas onto what they think need to be included. That's been saved on a virtual learning environment. Students have got an access to it, and that way that they're hitting all the learning outcomes for the assignment. It means a lot less remarking, and it's cut down on the workload for learning support. If students coming up initially in September going, I don't really understand this, I've got a refer on this, I don't really understand what I've missed out. So that's been really good.
So do you think the staff and students have really sort of taken this on board?
Definitely, yeah. This has been something that initially we set up as a little trial. It's gone college-wide now, and I think you can see from September with the project not just being in learning support, but it's going to be college-wide, and it's going to be a college policy that every student gets one of these. Things like the student handbook on the pen stick, obviously that's a massive cost saving, quite sustainable as well, because normally we produce thousands and thousands of these paper booklets. Now they're just going to be an electronic version. So that's a great step forward for the college.
Have you got any tips for anybody else who's wanting to do something similar in terms of a project like this to you?
Definitely. I mean, anyone can contact us about the project. We're actually setting up a website at the moment, sort of capturing everything that we've done, everything that we've achieved. We're going to have tutorial videos on there, so you can get those off and use those. What we tend to find was if we show the students the basics of the software, they take it away and customise it and do their own thing with it. You find that a lot of students now are IT savvy and they can soon pick things up and learn as they go, really. So yeah, contact us if you're interested in getting hold of some of the MP3 pen sticks. We can sort that out for you, because obviously they're quite difficult to source. We found that this year in particular. Get in touch. We'll put you in touch on the website. I'm sure that we can pass our contact details on and you can get in touch with us that way. But yes, it's a really great way of not only saving costs, but also providing students with the means, not only in college for academic strategies to develop the learning, but also long term, you're providing students with a tool that they can use effectively for the rest of their lives, really.
The other thing is as well, presumably if other people contact you and you start to buy even more in bulk for the MP3 players, you could maybe even drive the prices down, so you can get sort of collective cost.
Reduced. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the more we purchase, the lower the cost will be. So yeah, that's a definite benefit. Yeah.